Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of
Hello, I'm Runia, aka Media Adaptation. Welcome back to Moderation while Media's for a game. And it's Friday, so that means it's time once again to talk about the supposedly lost 80s anime, Go for a Punch, aka Saki Sanobashi, where we follow a vague set of guidelines, but then just reminisce about classic anime. Last week, someone asked if I could summarize what the search groups have been up to between the past videos. Well, burnout was a pretty prominent factor, but since then, they've regrouped and started a new attempt, which has some promising prospects. They've compiled a list of every VHS subtitling fan group that was active during the time, and are now looking into each of them, and I guess they're trying to find a full list of each of the videos that they've worked on, which would be nice to cross-check. It would be very interesting to learn the results of this endeavor. And aside from that, we have a few that are brushing up on their computer skills and thinking about trying to search the dark web. To which I say, good luck with that. I'm just going to be standing right here, thank you very much. So with that out of the way, on to our next section, where we talk about different animes that our viewers have asked us to look into. And one of the prominent aspects of Saki is our main character with lightly colored hair. And people have brought up the 1992 series, Video Girl Aya. And yes, while in the manga, she pretty much matches that description, but in the anime, she's given a much darker version. And granted, the show plays out like a typical slice-of-life comedy, but the very last episode takes an exceedingly dark tone, as she gets kidnapped, and he climbs a staircase of glass, which breaks, and the shards start to impale him as he continues. A while ago, someone threw out a video idea of the first best episode of an anime. Here is probably one of the best examples of one of the great final episodes. Oh, and I know many of you would probably remember the live-action version that they made of this in 2018. But few people recall that there was also one before that, in 1991, which actually debuted 1 year before this anime. Could be something interesting to look at down the line. But back on the subject of anime, with lightly colored hair, we have the 1990 animation A Wind Named Amnesia. Basically, the plot is a mix between Big O and Fallout. All human knowledge has been wiped from the face of the earth, making mankind revert back to its primal state. To be fair, this one is pretty forgettable, and no, that's not just a cute pun on its name. The characters are bland and boring, and the story has its head so far up its ass you just stop caring. And the only reason that I recall this one at all is at the start of the series they fight a robot that has a self-repair function. So it keeps popping back up throughout the run of the show, to the point where you start rooting for that thing to win, just so you could stop watching it. The weird part is this anime is actually based on a novel, and the same guy made our next entry, Vampire Hunter D. And while early on in A Night Shot, we kinda get a character who sort of matches the description, but besides that, it's mostly an edgy hack-and-slash anime made in 1985. Again, this is also from the same guy who gave us Demon City, so it doesn't really give a fuck about explanations. And while it is a very nice anime to look at, it kind of falls into the X category, that there's really not much to the story beyond its visuals. Heck, our main guy has a face on his hand, and it's never really explained what the hell that is. It feels like something that we would learn from the novels that they're based on, but it feels more like that opening bit from Cromartie High School.
Oh man, how the hell did I end up here?
If you want to find out, just read the manga.
But anyway, back to D. Some decent blood, but no nudity. And since we covered most of the classic ultra-violent anime, people have also pointed out MD Geist, from 1986, another Fallout-type anime, and Gundam-inspired Iron Man armors. This does have both boobs and blood on full display, but nothing much beyond that. The rest of the plot deals with two remaining warring factions continuing the centuries-long-old war, and looking to secure a doomsday weapon that has a swarm of killer robots that'll slaughter all of mankind indiscriminately. And in the end, our hero decides to activate it for the hell of it. And our last anime this time will be the 1987 Devilman, an OVA which tried to condense an entire season down into 2 episodes. Yeah, it goes as well as you'd think. But don't worry, it got remade into Devilman Crybaby, which was not fondly remembered. Man, this guy just can't catch a break. We briefly mentioned the manga a few weeks ago, so blood is in full supply. And in our second OVA, we got a demon who hides in water and tries to attack a girl in the bathroom. She doesn't die from it, but it's at least something worth mentioning. And so again, it's time to move on to our last segment, where we go through an old torrent of Goro manga. And today we're going to be looking at the works of Jun Hayami, starting with one called A Good Day to Die. A girl commits suicide, and as she's falling, reflects on her life, being betrayed and taken advantage of throughout the course of it. But she finally got her revenge on all of them, and took life into her own hands, even if it's just for a brief moment. Next we have An Ugly Daughter Like Me. Again, someone else who was taken advantage of, but chooses to remain silent as a rash slowly spreads over her body, rotting her away, symbolizing her free will. The next one is called Beautiful Imprint, which is a collection of stories mostly dealing with rape, one of them literally turning one of their victims into a ventriloquist dummy, which I don't think actually happens, but it's more symbolic of them controlling their life. After that we have A Love Letter from Far Away, also about rape. So next we have Regarding Mika, which has kidnapping but then goes into the Goro territory. And the last one is called This Is Art. Again, another collection of several stories, but this one does have a bit more variety. And the only one of note is when the girls get hit by a train, basically reenacting Teki Teki. Now with all those out of the way, it brings us down to 19 left. Again, slowly working down that number. And that about does it for this video. If you have any other ideas like Saki made into a video, then please post it down in the comments below, and we'll add it to our next viewer request week.
It's now time for the part of the show where we ask you to help us appease the YouTube algorithm by dropping a like, share, or comment. It helps out much more than you'd think.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, then it's very much appreciated. And if you'd like to support this channel, then please visit our Patreon. Link will be down in the description below. Even if you can't give a lot, every little bit helps. Oh, we also started up a Let's Play channel. So if you want to see us try out some horror games, then feel free to stop on by. Link will be in the card as well as in the description. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Anyway, I'm Runya.
And I'm Ada.
Remind you to take life in moderation.
Weep not, poor children, for life is this way, murdering beauty and passion. Hush now, dear children, it must be this way, to weary of life and deceptions. Rest now, my children.